السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
The Gaza Strip is an area 40 kilometers by 8. Its status has been in dispute since the Egyptians took control of it in 1949. 22 years ago this week, Israel invaded the Strip during the Six-Day War. 18 months ago this week, the Palestinians began their intifada, or uprising, a campaign of civil disobedience against the Israeli occupation. There are 2,500 Israeli settlers in the Strip. The other inhabitants are 650,000 Palestinians, of whom 1/3 live in refugee camps. This film was made between April the 14th and April the 24th in and around the Ali Arab Hospital in Gaza City and on patrol with Israeli troops. Ali is the only hospital of the 7 in the Strip which is not run by the Israeli government. Through an arrangement with the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, it offers free treatment to refugees. Ali's orthopedic surgeon is Dr. Tshai Ang, a Singapore-born doctor who trained in Britain and has been sent out to Gaza by the London-based charity Medical Aid for Palestinians.
Yeah, it's better because it's painful, it's swollen, yeah, it's not united.
بنزل لما الصغار ترجم عليهم بإيده.
Okay, this is Muhammad, 8 years old. He was beaten a month ago by soldiers going home. There was a demonstration. Soldiers caught him. They beat him with their crutches, had a fracture that stayed on a cast for 1 month, 4 weeks. The day before yesterday, the cast was removed, and yesterday there were some troubles again, so he ran away, he fell down, had a refractured his bone again. And now another cast is applied. PPA is beating by army, and it's common to see it in the chart of the patients. Just to, because we cannot write beating by army each time we see a patient that was beaten actually by army. We use this abbreviation. It's not a universal one, it's just here in the occupied territory. The brother of Hussam, this boy, is 10 years old, also was beaten by soldiers and had fracture. More than 50% are PBA in the patients.
Asma, have you been throwing stones at the soldier? He has been, okay. Then what about these two?
انت حبيب اسمع كيف الجيش مسكك؟ كيف الجيش ضربك؟ He was leaving the school going to his home يعني. Some of the youth were throwing stones. They caught this child. They beaten him hard.
Every time they go to school or come back, there's no guarantee that someone along the roadside might throw stones at the army patrol and then the kids get attacked in return. And it is becoming very difficult. I mean, I had it too. I mean, 2 weeks ago, There was a demonstration outside. People were throwing stones, and when the stone throwers were chased by the army, they fled into the hospital. I was seeing my clinic as usual, with very crowded, full of people waiting, patients and relatives. And they shot into my clinic, and certainly I wasn't throwing the stone. I was too busy to know what's going on, and my patients waiting to see me weren't throwing stones either. And one of the rubber bullets actually hit an old man in the eye, and he bled a lot from the eye. He's 65, and I think it's just bad luck. If the army wants to punish stone throwers, then let them arrest the stone throwers and punish them, and not everybody else who happen to be in the way. I think it's most unfair.
كيف؟
ضربوني.
رفعتوا تنظف انت؟ نظفت؟ They asked him to clean the street, you know. He did clean the street. Afterwards, they beat him. Oh. Yeah, this is footprint. They kicked him like that. Yeah. بسيطة. عم سالي خذ
It all began nearly 7 years ago. I was working in London then and has just become a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons. And suddenly in summer that year, a war that was being fought in the Middle East caught my attention. Israel, one of the countries which I loved and respected my whole life, was invading another country called Lebanon. And suddenly one day I got an appeal asking for a surgeon to go out to Lebanon to treat wounded people, and I felt then that as a Christian I must go. So I left my job and I went out, and it was only on my trip out that I found out that it was just not merely a case of invading a country, Lebanon, but there was behind it another more important story, and there was a group of people called the Palestinians whom I never knew existed. And for me, it's a very painful thing because all my life I've been very anti-PLO. I've always thought that the PLO was a terrorist organization, and I really hated them. And it was in the refugee camps of Sabra and Shatila when I actually worked with Palestinians. I lived with them, and from there I began to understand that they're just a group of people who have lost their homes and deprived of many, many basic rights which the rest of us have. Of course, most of us knew that there was an uprising, and the Palestinians were kind of demanding and fighting for their rights to a homeland in Gaza Strip and in West Bank. And basically people in Shatila thought that I really should come and treat the wounded here. When I come here, I just feel that after a couple of days, I begin to realize that occupation is everywhere, and it is not something I can run away from. My patients bear the direct marks of brutality, and all around, if I go out of the hospital, I can see soldiers, patrols, and it is something which is, so, sometimes I feel I can't breathe. And it really has distorted life here. Most families in the refugee camps have been victims of the occupation in a very direct way. And women who were beaten up because they're defending their kids. And that has become a mode of life in Gaza. these are some of the things we have removed from patients' bodies, or some of, and I would say that there's certainly no shortage of varieties. We'll start with the rubber bullets. Now this looks like an ordinary rubber bullet, but if you tear it out, you'll find that there's metal in it. So that's what it is, okay? So it's actually, we call it plastic-coated metal bullet, for want of a better term. That is dum-dum fragment, which I took out from a boy's wrist. That's a plastic bullet, which we get all the time.
This is plastic bullets used on range over 70 meters. It is used on very, very hard riots. We not use it very, very often.
That I cannot identify, but it probably looks like a fragmented bit, tip of an M16 bullet or something like that. And that I cannot identify too. It's just some fragment from somewhere. Again, removed from patients. All these are removed from patients.
This is CS gas grenade. Second generation, doesn't leak.
Abed and I was in the UNRWA clinic and I was teaching doctors. We had 4 of these shot in. And it says handmade rifle grenade.
המינהל האזרחי מפרסם דפי הסברה ודפי הנחיות למפקדים ולחיילים בשטח. יש פה דוגמה של דף הסברה שמחולק לכל החיילים בשטח ולכל המפקדים. והדף הזה מסביר כללי התנהגות לגבי מסגדים, לגבי בתי ספר, לגבי בתי חולים, לגבי מגע עם גורמים בינלאומיים, לגבי עובדים מקומיים, לגבי החרמת רכוש, לגבי תצפית על גגות בתים, התנהגות כלפי כלל האוכלוסייה, התנהגות כלפי נשים. יש פה פירוט שמדגיש לחיילים מה מותר ומה אסור. ואם חייל עובר על ההנחיות האלה, הוא נשפט ועומד לדין.
Because it shoots into the brain and produce fatal injuries. And the plastic bullet, if it was shot at very close range, produced death too. But what is even more is that because it's used quite often, soldiers seem to think that they are pretty innocuous, and it produced a lot of injury.
When we go out on patrols now, after 2.5 months here, well, it's boring. We used to the work. At the beginning, it was more kind of more, no, not exciting, more stress. There was more mess on the streets and more work. Much, the patrols were much harder. Used to run more. Now it's easier. Sometimes was kind of not very nice situations when there were a lot of stones, rocks from the roofs, and or really a big group of people coming against us with stones, with sticks, all kinds of things. They try to have a personal war with us. They call names, they call our unit names, kind of things. not much fun, but this is your work here and you have to do it. Just must do it, because if you see somebody throwing stones on you and putting this thing, flag of Ashraf, and shouting, kill all Jews and Palestinians out. So it's not so nice to hear and look at. So you beat if you catch people.
What's the youngest person you've ever had to beat?
I had to beat 6 years ago. Something like that, 6, 7, 8. Well, like I said, it's not much fun, but you have to do it. A couple times they tried to attack us with knives and axes, but in this case you can shoot them because they're risking your life. We are divided. Yeah. We don't live in them. We do our job. We go there, and there's a distance between us. We're not allowed to talk to them, to talk, to buy, nothing. Of course I understand them, because everybody wants his country and his place. But I don't know, they're living here and you're giving them place, houses, food, everything. So, I don't know, actually it's not my problem.
Yeah, I mean, this one is 5-year-old. He was at home last August, and the mother says that the kids were throwing stones outside, and he was at home. There's nothing to do with the family. Mm-hmm. And they shot a tear gas canister into his house and fractured his leg. Now the fracture is united, but...
The left one.
Yeah, but what happened is that it's infected chronically. مرحبا.
شو اسمك يعني؟
Yeah. Can I have a look? Take it out.
ممكن تطلع على رجلك؟
Yeah, okay. You see, it's discharging. Ask the mother how many dressings he has to have a day.
كم مرة بيغير الغيار في
والله أنا 3 في الدار بغير.
3 times a day.
و4 كمان.
Sometimes 4.
This is quite typical of chronic osteomyelitis. Yes. They discharge like this. And he has been operated on once before. I don't think there's anything special about Israelis or Palestinians. There's something very special about occupiers and those that are occupied. So, if the Palestinians were occupying Israel and were doing this to the Israelis, then I think they're in the wrong. I'll be the first to speak up against them. And certainly, I'm not hung up on the fact that one side is Jewish and the other side is Arabic, because to me, a human being is a human being. And if an Israeli is wounded and he comes before me, he'll be treated like anybody else. I mean, I get angry. I do get very angry sometimes when I see a kid being beaten up or shot through sheer carelessness and comes into the operating theater bleeding, and sometimes I wish I could get a soldier who has done this to come and have a look at what he has done, and I'm quite sure he'll stop doing that. because I know he's a human being too.
You can see here the Molotovs to make a very bad wounded. They burn it in the top of the bottle and throw it. It explode, and everyone that was near the place that is explode was wounded. We have a lot of soldiers that wounded from those one, and still in the hospital, very bad wounded. We have bigger one, we have small one, and they used it a lot of times here in the past, and now also. This is a gas ammunition that they're using into the tire that they burn a tire. After that, he throw one of these to the tire. When the army is getting to the tire, it explode.
وبدي اروح اجيب الثاني وبدي ادير له فرقات. ايش الفرقات مش عارف. الجيش رمى وياه على السرير وشرط.
He was going back from the mosque after praying. Then the soldiers stopped him and asked him to put some fire there, tire. There is a. So he poured a little bit of water. Then he started to pour the second one. When he come near to the fire. There was an explosion, and he don't know what happened. He has amputated metatarsal. This is hand, you can call, and some also 2 fingers also had been amputated. He's lucky that his eyes is not harmed. They ran away, and they did not help him. He just went to his home and asked family to give him aid.
I only get out of Gaza City very occasionally because up to now I'm still the only orthopedic surgeon in the hospital, so those moments I can get out are very rare. But there are certain moments when I actually go out on business, like to visit the United Nations physiotherapy services. And the first time when I actually left Gaza City and drove south along the road to Khan Yunis and Rafah, I was surprised. I was really surprised and at the beauty of Gaza, because there was so much green, there were trees, and I thought to myself, this could have been such a lovely land, and people could have lived here and be happy, and not in the absolute misery they are being subjected to now.
منتصب القامة أمشي مرفوع الهامة أمشي في كفي قصبة زيتون وعلى كتفي نعشي وأنا أمشي وأنا أمشي وأنا أمشي وأنا أمشي قلبي قمر أحمر قلبي بستان قلبي قمر أحمر قلبي بستان فيه العوزة فيه الريحان قلبي قمر أحمر قلبي بستان فيه العوسج فيه الريحان شفتاي.
My name is Abed. So it has been about 4 months from now. And oh my God, that was a sound bomb, I think. Another one. I was born here in Jabali refugee camp, which is the biggest refugee camp in all over Gaza Strip. And I've been working in Al Arab Hospital. I've graduated last September, 88. So then since that time I was working on short-term basis in Al Arab Hospital. Then when Dr. Swee came, I joined work with her in her OBD clinic.
The conditions in the camps are atrocious. I think, in a way, when I first saw Jabalia camp, it was heartbreaking. It was really very bad. The camp homes are small, and each home has got only about 2 or 3 rooms at the most. And in these very crowded places, each home maybe holds about 12, a family unit of 12, and in the summer it's hot, boiling hot. In the winter, when the rain starts to pour, the whole place is flooded. There are no proper sanitation. Sewage in some of the camps is just drainage into a huge cesspool. It is also the psychological trauma. Kids are confined to these little homes for long periods. Beach camp had been under curfew recently for nearly 2 weeks. And during these 2 weeks, nobody can leave their home. So these little homes have become uncomfortable prisons. Prisons where kids get restless. And quite tension builds up, accidents happen. And it is really a nightmare.
המינהל האזרחי עושה מאמץ גדול לשקם את מחנות הפליטים. צריך לזכור שבמשך שנים הייתה התנגדות מסיבית של מדינות ערב ושל הערבים לשיקום הפליטים, מתוך רצון להנציח את התופעה של שיקום פליטים, של מחנות הפליטים. אנחנו הקמנו במינהל האזרחי ענף מיוחד לשיקום פליטים, ואנחנו במשך התקופה שיקמנו כ-12,000 משפחות, סדר גודל של 60,000 נפש. השיקום מתבטא בזה שאנחנו נותנים להם מגרש, נותנים להם הלוואה, ומאפשרים להם לבנות את ביתם.
If you want to have a piece of land outside the camp or a house, then you have to give up your refugee card. You have to destroy your house and just consider to be a citizen, which is not actually being a citizen because you don't have rights more than what refugees do. So there's no big difference. Exactly. That's what the whole process is meant. That you have to accept the Israeli occupation, you have to accept Israeli presence here. There is no Palestinian family in the occupied territories that did not have either someone who's imprisoned, someone who's wounded, or at least smelled gas and almost suffocated from gas. My family also experienced the same thing. So this is the life. I mean, we are having an interview now. Soldiers chasing after my brother. Just a few minutes before the interview, they caught somebody, one of the neighborhood. They shot at him. They took him into their jeeps toward the military center. I don't hate those soldiers. I hate what they are doing. Yeah, I hate the behavior. I'm not against the Israelis as humans. You know, I've seen a film about Second World War and what the terrible Adolf Hitler has done to those Jews. I remember I was crying at that night when I was seeing what was done to those Jews. And they have to learn, I mean, they are the ones who experience this humiliation, all of those terrible terrorism against them. So they have to understand what we feel now, how we feel when soldiers coming into the house, beat the children, arrest young men. My mother has stayed in a cast for 4 months. They have to understand that. They have to understand we are humans. Before I'm a Palestinian, before I was born in Jabalia, I'm a human. So the problem is not economic. The problem is not that I just want to have some money and a nice car and a nice house. I just want to feel free, just want to feel secure. I want to go during night, have a walk, visit my friends without soldiers stopping me, beat me and whatever he wants against me. That's what I'm looking for. With the more suffering, with the more what the Israeli are putting pressure, economic pressures, putting taxes, arresting people, thousands were arrested, other thousands were wounded, and now we are hearing the shooting now. All of that, even with the more suffering, the more hope we have. The more we feel we are close to the end, because history taught us that. Shamir has to go back to history, the history of Israel itself. He has to learn that there is no occupations that continued forever. When people decided that they have to have their freedom, they have to win. No matter when, but they will win.
You know from the beginning that you will lose here, because it's, how can I say it? It's, you know that if you beat them and shoot them and do whatever you want to them, they won't stop. They won't stop to do it, and it won't be quiet here. It's not, because we can't solve this problem. it's the biggest. It's the government, it's the politician have to solve the problem, not we are.
We train to fight against other soldiers. And now we fight against people. It's difficult.
I prefer to be in Lebanon than here. Because there I know I'm doing job, yeah. I'm doing something for this country. Here we run, they escape, we after them, I don't know what. It's no use here. It's not our problem. See, it's not, we can't solve it, that's all.
מה יש לך מאחורה? שמן? אתה בטוח רק שמן? תן לי תעודה בבקשה. מאיפה אתה? וכל האנשים האלו מאיפה הם?
من عزة بس.
גם אתה מירושלים?
لا من عزة كله من عزة.
Occupation is not war because occupation implies one side which is all-powerful and strong, and that side has deliberately subdued and tried to demean. It also carries in it a sense of arrogance. You fight and you go to war with someone who is an equal. You occupy someone whom you despise. And that is very difficult for many people to understand unless they live under occupation. What was he doing when he was shot?
لما انصابت بالرصاصة شو كنت تعمل؟
أضرب الحجارة.
He was throwing stones.
He was throwing stones. Okay, and then what happened? And then he was shot, yeah? And then he was shot, is it? Okay, not to worry, it happens all the time, okay? This bullet is inside the knee, so we have to open the knee to take it out, huh? Okay. All right. That's where the bullet went in, huh? Okay, right. You can see a big bruise here where the bullet has come in, and all these are damaged tissue. So this is routine, it happens all the time. I've done many like that. And I think we've got the bullet now, so I can just take it out like this. That's not the problem, okay? So bullet is out now. This is a plastic bullet, so-called plastic bullet, which is about 80% metal. You can see that it's got metallic quality to it. Now all around the bullet, the tracks are contaminated, so we have to excise the whole lot here, which is really the problem, huh? Some more hydrogen peroxide. Yes. Yeah. Really, this is an example of the IDF really kind of shooting at demonstrators in a way which is allowed. So the net result is a bullet in the knee, a wound like this, which is potentially infectious, and 6 or 7 or 8 weeks of disability.
My goodness.
Okay.
Inlet, which is 1, okay? Now you can see the outlet from the back. Come round here. Now there are multiple outlets. This is consistent with a shotgun, you know, like the way they shoot birds and so on. Yes. So but the abdomen is. Yeah, so Sadiq, better hurry go and have an X-ray and go to theater. Yeah.
This is نعم بدي اكس راي لها بالوليد كمان. Yes.
But this looks one piece. We'll see.
Yeah, this better have an idea.
Yes. كيف حالك أنت؟ كويسة؟
Alert as well. I don't know
This yes. اللي عمر.
Wait, is that all in Jabalia?
Okay.
شايف كيف؟ بعدين إسرائيل عمايلها لا بتفرق بين صغير ولا بين كبير ولا بين اختيار ولا بين هذه العمايل هم عمايل بربرية. يعني النازيين زمان اللي هم ملسوه صاروا يملسوه معانا إحنا. ابنها مسكينه من راسه من هنا والكل بيضرب فيه. كيف شعورها؟
Okay, translate please.
Okay, this woman is from Jabalia camp. And what she's saying that they were leaving the house, just at the gate of the house, and they have seen a young man the same age of me. The soldiers were catching him from his ear like this and pushing him on the wall and hitting him with their rifles into his back. So many women came and they started shouting and screaming, and many people crowded. They couldn't tolerate such a scene. But the soldiers have seen this that many people. Random shooting. So here, their daughter was standing by the door, just by the door, even inside the house, but close to the door. They shoot, so she had a shooting and she fell down. Her grandmother carried her, and this is her blood. And she thinks it's a live ammunition bullet because from the sound we can differentiate from the sound. It's not a rubber bullet, and it's not plastic bullet. The sound is live ammunition. It was a close distance, about 100 meter. في ناس تصاوبوا يعني.
هي اجت معنا بنت وبعدين في الولد وصار طخ كثير واحنا خطفنا البنت وما بنعرفش ايش اللي صار بس حولوا ناس على الشفا.
She heard many bullets, a lot of shooting. Another girl at the same age was shot with rubber bullet, and there is another boy was shot. There are many cases also. She doesn't know how many, but many were transported to Shifa hospital.
And most of all it's affecting the internal organs, because as far as you see, some fragments went inside where the right kidney is, and her hemoglobin is coming down, so we have to explore her as soon as possible to see what's inside. This type of dum-dum, I think, bullets,
I think
which makes so many fragments.
Something which is explosive. At first I thought it was a shotgun, but really come to think of it.
Yeah, she's lucky that the lung is not affected.
Yeah, I know.
But she has many fragments in the arm too. She will explore her now.
You know, I've seen these during the Sabra and Shatila massacre, but that is caused by grenade. Live grenade. When kids are put together, you just throw a grenade and you have multiple shrapnels like this. But I really don't know what's this.
We'll see what she has inside now. All right.
And we have exactly the orders against who we shoot and against who we never shoot. You can say...
Against whom do you never shoot?
Huh?
Against whom do you never shoot?
We never shoot against women, against children, little children.
Why have we seen children in hospital with bullets in their stomachs?
Which children? In stomachs? Children?
Children.
Look, we shoot with plastic bullets. It's true. It's not a secret. The plastic is used because we don't want to shoot with live fire.
So why have we seen a 10-year-old girl in hospital this morning who has a bullet hole and inside her 1,000 fragments of a metal bullet?
Where you saw it?
In a hospital in Gaza.
Which hospital? In Gaza City. I don't know about this case. And you saw a hole of a bullet?
And
Or maybe it's what the doctor said about you, for you.
We have seen the x-rays, we have the operation report from last night. Metal inside the stomach.
Maybe I don't know from where this girl, not from Gaza the town, I'm sure because I know every case.
From Jabalia camp.
I don't know this case. I don't know. It's maybe. Now, you know, in this area there is a lot of ammunition from the other side. And if you want to know about what I say, it's not only the Molotov. You can see this. It's not our gun. And you can see this. It's not our guns. We didn't use it. We don't use it.
So you're saying it might be possible
And this. Maybe.
that she was not shot by the IDF?
Maybe I don't know the case. And if I don't know the case, maybe this is the answer. Most of the people here, if their child or their husband or the woman is wounded, it's better for them to say the IDF did it. If one of them, because they have money from this, because the PLO pay money about it.
Amir, can you explain to the mother that this is definitely a bullet? But it's one of these bullets that none of us have seen before.
الضربة اللي أكلتها هذه رصاصة بالتأكيد طبعا، بس الرصاصة هي حصل شيء ما شفنا زيها، شكلها غريب جدا.
It has gone in and it exploded into thousands and thousands of small little fragments.
دخلت جوا وانفجرت لأكثر من جزيئات صغيرة.
The big fragments are removed, but the small ones are so small it's like dust. So it's better left.
القطع الصغيرة شلوها، لكن القطع الكبيرة شلوها، أما الصغيرة فهي باينة.
So in a way maybe it's some sort of dum-dum, but not exactly like the type we're used to.
احتمال تكون نوع من أنواع الدمدم بس مش النوع اللي الطبيعي اللي تفوزنا عليه.
But the main thing she must understand is she is going to be all right. Yeah.
بس أنت تطمن يعني بنتك حتكون كويسة إن شاء الله.
She'll be in the hospital for a little while, but she'll be okay.
حتضلها عندك المستشفى مدة أطول شوية، بس تحسن إن شاء الله تمشي.
Okay.
Look, if you say that you saw this girl with a bullet in her stomach, and I didn't know, and I don't know about it, now I must to make to investigate it, because maybe it's probably possible that a soldier didn't report it about it, and he did it. Maybe we are people like all the people in the world. Not all of us are the same, have the same behavior, even they have the orders.
I just finished my clinic and I saw this. I don't know what happened.
وانت بتصور الحمد جوا ليش واقف؟
واحد عذب وهو واقف.
ايوه جايين يتحكموا، قول لهم انهم جايين يتحكموا.
Well, I was performing my ordinary duty in the emergency room, and all of a sudden I saw a small kid running, saying that, please protect me from army is following me. I didn't realize that. I thought that he was playing with his kids. But all of a sudden I saw the soldier running after him and doing like this to his head with the gun. So this is what I saw. It was really very bad, very stupid.
Now, when I think that someone is in the hospital, and I want to speak with him, or to catch him, he's so bad that I want him, because he's a terrorist or something, I ask an order, and when I get it, we come inside, and we will take this wounded man.
So if you're chasing a child and a child runs inside a hospital, can you run in after him?
No, usually no. Only if he throw a Molotov or a grenade, or if he shot with a gun. In this case, there is not fences and nothing.
But if he's just been a nuisance or just thrown a stone, you couldn't run after him?
No, I cannot go inside.
It's okay. You see, what happened was Gunnar happened to be passing by. He's a UN chap. I said, Gunnar, please follow that thing, you see. And we followed them and overtook them, and we parked in the middle and asked them why they want to take the boys. They said the boys are all very bad boys and, you know, they are going to prison, that's it. I said, look, you can't take it from the hospital, you know, what have they done? It's none of your business. I said, look, I want to know. And he said, it's none of your business, get out of the way. So we followed them and they were taking the boys right to Ansar, you see. But just at the prison gate, while they were opening this thing to let them in, business, get out of the way. So we followed them and they were taking the boys right to Ansar, you see. But just at the prison gate, while they were opening this thing to let them in, I walked out and I asked this one how old he is. He's 10. And the other one is 12. And one of the officers spoke English. So he said that, you know, they might be 10 and 12, but they're chucking rocks at us. I said, but still you shouldn't be putting 10-year-old and 12-year-old in prison, you see. So I think maybe because of the United Nations and because of me, they just decided to let them out. So they came back.
By the name of these children and by the name of the hospital and the Palestinian people, really we are thanks you very much about this thing. And
yeah, I think
thanks you for your support to our people.
Especially, you know, he's smaller than me.
For your support.
Please be careful, I don't want any more trouble. Better go home, take them home, okay? I remember a little thing that my husband shared with me. It's something which Pastor Naimola wrote. He said that they came for the trade unionists. I wasn't a trade unionist, so I never spoke up. They came for the Jews. I wasn't a Jew, so I never spoke up. They came for the communists. I wasn't a communist, so I didn't speak up. Finally, they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak up. And I think these are words of wisdom, which is very real. I think while we are alive, while we still have a voice and the opportunity to let our witness be known, then I think it is duty to do it. And in a way, it's also very much witness of a doctor and witness of a Christian. God has said that you are my witnesses. And so it is just a duty which I have to do.